Selina. Tell me a little bit about where you grew up and what brought you to where you are today.
Good afternoon, everybody, and thank you for inviting me, Kurt. It is a pleasure for me to be in your show. And where I am originally from the Philippines. I grew up there. I was 15 when I came to the United States, and I basically lived in 3 states. I started in Washington State, where my dad was stationed at McCord Air Force Base, and I moved to San Diego, where I lived for about 14 years. And then I moved to Arizona in 2005, and here I am, still living in Arizona.
And so what brought you here? What kind of prompted that move? I know that there were your family kind of already was moving that direction, but there were a few things that actually prompted that move. Could you share with us a little bit about that?
Yes. Well, my story is my parents who I was talking about. My dad, who was in the military, they're my adoptive parents. When in 1991, the volcano Mount Pinatubo erupted. And so I was going to nursing school. You know, I was only 15, but I know I was already in college because in the Philippines, as some of you, I don't know if you guys know or some people know, it's only 10 years of schooling. So we go 6 years of elementary school and then go to high school for 4 years, and then you start college right away. So I was in nursing school, and then my parents said, we got to go because the volcano was about to erupt. So we had to evacuate from Clark Air Force Base to Subic, and so that was about a 4-hour drive. And so we got there, the volcano erupted. So about 3 to 4 days later, we were evacuated from there to come to the United States. But it was interesting because it was a lot of waiting and trying to see what our transportation would be. So we ended up in Cebu, which is the southern part of the Philippines. And what we had for transportation was the USS Arkansas, which is an aircraft carrier. And that was very interesting. We stayed in Cebu for a couple of days. And then, yeah. So, and then, leaving my family, my real family, my biological parents and my 4 siblings, was definitely devastating to me. And I was a teenager, I didn't know, I wanted to come to the United States, but then at the same time, it was hard because I don't know, my younger sisters, they were only about 4 years old when I left. I had twin sisters and biological sisters, so that was very sad. But then, so we got to Cebu, and then from Cebu, we flew via air, what is it, like the C-130, it's a cargo plane.
Oh, okay.
It was a cargo plane, and so we flew, and I've never been on an airplane before, so I was like...
Probably a little bit of a rough ride.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wasn't messed with
I was like,
passengers.
oh my gosh, is this what a plane looks like? So it was very interesting to me because we were facing backwards instead of forward, and I couldn't figure out, is this how, it wasn't like this in the movies, right? Yeah, and we traveled with pets, so it was such an experience to me, and then from Guam, we stayed there for a few days. We got clothes from the Salvation Army. Our bags were the trash bags.
Oh, wow.
And yeah, so, but the Air Force took care of us, and from there, we flew to San Francisco. Well, actually Oakland, Travis Air Force Base, and then from there, we flew to San Francisco. From San Francisco to Los Angeles, and that's where I kind of lived for a couple of months. Okay. Until we figured out where my dad was going to be stationed at. So then I ended up in Washington State.
So then what brought you from Washington State to Phoenix?
Well, I moved from Washington State when I turned 18. I moved to San Diego, where I lived with my aunt there, and I wanted to go to school in San Diego, finish my nursing program. So, and then that's where I met my husband.
Okay.
And then I went to nursing school at San Diego State University. And then I worked as a nurse for 3 years at UCSD Medical Center. And then after that, I moved to Phoenix because my parents are here. My dad was stationed at Luke Air Force Base, and then he retired.
from the
Okay,
Air Force.
so here you are, and we're grateful that the turn of events allowed you to be here. We're gonna also, and thank you. That's a very compelling story and very dramatic. I mean, it's almost something you can make a movie out of. So, thank you for sharing that with us as well. And then we have someone who is near and dear to my heart because one of the few native Arizonans that actually was born and grew up here along with me is Shelly Thompson. Shelly, tell us a little bit about your background. You were born here, and you kind of have a compelling story as well. But tell us a little bit about growing up in Arizona.
Born and raised. I'm a true Phoenician, and there's not too many of us, so nice to meet you. Born and raised here in Arizona, in South Phoenix. I was born on the base of South Mountain by the old Thunderbird Golf Course. I have one sister and two brothers. Pretty small, intermediate family, but a huge bunch of cousins and aunties and all that stuff. So
great. Same here. We actually had the huge brothers and sisters. I had 8 brothers and sisters, so 9 kids that my family had. We always had somebody to play with, and then when you had the cousins, who also had a lot of large families that were our aunts and uncles had lots of kids. So we probably have about 80 cousins to play with at family gatherings.
That sounds like my family.
Yeah.
Except for we're brown.
I tried. I just got sunburned a little too often.
That counts.
I'm hoping the cancer doesn't hit me. So, well, great. So, as we end the segment, tell me a little bit about how the two of you met.
Very good question.
I know, right?
Yeah.
Actually, we met at the golf course.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we were.
Look at that, little hoity-toities.
Right. Yeah. Right. Like I told you, I grew up on the base of the mountain next to the golf course. Never had a golf lesson in my life.
Wow.
So the first time I have a golf lesson, I run into this beautiful lady who
See?
has opened her arms and her family to me. And it's been an awesome experience thus far.
Excellent. We're going to talk about what the compelling experience and results were when we come back from break, and I'm sure you'll be as excited as I am to learn the wonderful things that they have been able to create as a result of their meeting. And we will tune in after this commercial break, and you'll learn a lot more about Shelly and Selina.